2021 Kia K5 in the EX trim. Now that Kia has moved away from its Optima identity, is this now a better choice than its brethren, the Hyundai Sonata? Let's find out. For 2021, Kia has got rid of the Optima. The Optima nameplate had been around since 2000. Through 4 different generations. The first and second generation, in my opinion, were pretty forgettable. The third generation knocked it out of the park with its unique and sporty looks. Fourth generation looked kind of like a refresh of the third generation. And here in this 5th generation Optima, aka K5, which it's always been a K5. In Korea, they've always called the Optima the K5. They've just decided to have a global name for it now, which is the K5. And it's very similar to its Hyundai Sonata brother, as it should be. It's the same platform. It's nearly identical in every single way. It rides very similarly. We'll get into that later. But for the K5, it's really taken that next leap forward away from the Sonata. The Sonata is more of a gentleman's car. It's quiet, it's comfortable. It's not really a performance car, even though there's the inline variant of it, which is similar to the GT version of this car with the 2.5-liter turbo. But the Sonata is definitely more of a comfort / luxury sedan. This vehicle goes a different route. The looks are so sporty. The hood is very aggressive. The daytime running lights, I've caught several people stopping and looking at the daytime running lights of this Kia K5. I mean, there's no denying that they're going to catch your eye, that they're cool. I don't know if they're beautiful, but they're definitely cool. You know, Kia's kind of taken that more aggressive route with their products, with their aggressive amber LED lights on the front end. You look at the Kia Telluride, and that has really cool amber boxy lights in the front. This one has more of the chicane lights, similar to an Acura. And I don't know, do you guys think this looks a little bit like an Acura on the front end? I think it kind of does, and that's not a bad thing because the new TLX looks incredible. Now the side profile of this is okay. The 18-inch wheels, 5 spokes, they look all right. The long roofline, that sloping roofline, is very similar to its brethren, the Sonata. And then when you get around the back, initially it looks really cool until you look a little bit closer. Now I do like the LED lights. They're almost like a dotted passing line on the road. It's like, oh yeah, let's use this vehicle to pass people. That's almost the route they're going with those rear LED lights. But that's where like the coolness stops on this K5 on the rear end. The fake exhaust drive me nuts. How they tuck it into the bottom and hide the exhaust altogether, it looks really cool, but the fake exhaust, they don't look good at all. If you want a good looking exhaust on the K5, you have to get the full-blown GT version, which doesn't cost that much more than this really well-equipped EX model. It's just unfortunate that its brother, the Sonata, which is less sporty, has better looking exhaust tips across all of its trim levels. And another thing about the rear end that is just a little off when you inspect it closer is the painted trunk lid that is supposed to make the rear glass look a little bit longer, a little bit more slopey. You know, from a ways it looks okay, but as you get closer, you can definitely tell it looks a little off, and I don't know. It's just not my favorite thing about it, but the front end is definitely the saving grace for this vehicle. It definitely makes it look much better than the front end of the Sonata, even though the ugly duckling / ugly catfish look of the Sonata is unique and it's a little bit charming. It's kind of grown on me. I would still take this front end of the K5 any day of the week. Just give us better exhaust tips, Kia. Now, this is the first Kia I've had for review, which is really exciting for the channel, but I also want to start incorporating something else for the channel, which is a lot of fun, and that is key fobs. I want to bring you guys to the importance of key fobs, the design, the quality of key fobs throughout the industry, and that will be starting in this review, and I'll probably put it in every review going forward, because I feel like key fobs are, you just spend so much time with them. More than likely, if you're a woman, maybe you keep it in your purse or something like that. If you're a guy, maybe you do the same. I don't know. But key fob, let's get to why do I want to talk about it? Because they change so much from brand to brand. And yes, I'm just going to pull it out of my pocket and we're going to talk about the key fob on this Kia K5. I love it. It's heavy, it has a great heft to it, it feels comfortable in the pocket, and it has a trigger on it. And that trigger is the lock button. It just naturally folds right into your trigger finger. So I appreciate that. It almost feels like a detonator, but instead it detonates the car, it locks the car, hopefully. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, of course, locks the car. Anyways, the next button is the unlock button, then you have the hold button, and then you have the alarm button. And then on the flat side of it, you have a nice Kia logo, and then you have a remote start hold button. Now, the design of it is overall pretty good. The quality materials, the matte black is actually pretty good, but the glossy, or should I say the chrome plated trim, is already starting to wear off on this 2021 model. And granted, this vehicle has 17,000 miles. This Kia has seen a lot of wear and tear in that 17,000 miles as a review car, but the chrome plated trim is starting to fall off on it. Altogether though, I would give this key fob a solid B+, A- from Kia. I like everything about it. I just wish that chrome wasn't chipping off. Other than that, it's great. Okay, you need the key to get into the interior and turn the car on, so let's switch gears into the interior. It is a very nice experience in here. This EX trim has fake wood. It actually looks pretty darn good. I mean, they can use it all they want because that fake wood looks pretty convincing. It looks pretty high quality, and it definitely wraps around the dash and to the doors. We have a small MID in here, which I'm not used to after driving the Sonata, which the Sonata, you get this really big MID. It's like a 10-inch MID that takes up the instrument cluster. Kia has opted for a more affordable route, but also you could argue a more sporty route with the traditional tachometer, the analog tachometer, the analog speedometer. It looks good, but I just, after being the Sonata, it would have been nice to have a larger fully digital display here. Now this EX also comes with the premium package for this trim, which gives you the upgraded Bose sound system. It sounds okay. It's definitely better than the stock, but it's nothing to write home about. But the screen here is very nice. I try to get into Android Auto as quick as I can. Even though the base software in here is pretty good, it's better than a lot of rivals out there, I still just prefer having my phone up here for Android Auto. I'm comfortable with it. And unfortunately, just like the Hyundai products, you can't go full screen. You can split the screen with radio stations, its inbuilt navigation, the time, the weather, but yeah, you can't go full screen Android Auto, which is not the best thing in the world. And yeah, this aluminum trim just blinded me. I don't like when trim blinds me. It's not as bad as some of the chrome I've seen in, like, let's say the Mazda products, but it's still really bright, and I wish this wasn't as reflective as it is. Climate control is phenomenal. I love this system in the Hyundai products, so you have the 3 different auto climate control buttons, and then of course dual knobs here. Now, you also have vents for the rear seat. You have USBs back there, and there's actually a total of 5 USBs in this vehicle, which is astounding. If I remember right, in the Sonata, you only have 3, and there's only 1 in the back seat, so in the Sonata. So this definitely takes a cake and more connectivity compared to its brother, the Sonata. Now, like that Sonata, we have one awesome, badass pano roof. You guys know I love the pano roofs. I'll take it every time I get the chance. I love the pano roof in this vehicle. My daughter Maggie was in here, and I just, she was just loving it. I caught her looking up at the skies and seeing the birds and stuff. It was really, really cute. Safety features in here are good. You have Hyundai's and Kia's, steering assist, which is usually pretty good. I don't use it that much. If there's not a shoulder, it creeps me out a little bit, but it's pretty good overall. And I think it's probably time to get into the riding and driving mechanics of this vehicle. Underneath the hood is a 1.6 liter turbo that we see in a ton of Kia and Hyundai products, 180 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. It is a great powertrain for this car. It feels exactly the same as it does in the Sonata, which is a pro and a con because this vehicle is a little bit more sporty. as we go around this Lexus. It's a little bit more sporty than the Sonata in looks, but it really drives very similar to the Sonata. The steering wheel feels very similar to the Sonata in this EX trim. We luckily have a leather wrapped steering wheel. The steering might feel a tiny bit stiffer in this vehicle compared to the Sonata. I don't know if that's, I would have to drive them back to back, but the handling of it, when I take this thing through the turns, it definitely feels a little bit more agile than its more luxury focused Sonata brother. What's really weird, and I've never had this in any of the Sonatas, what's really strange about this, if this vehicle goes over uneven pavement, it really wants to track that way. So if there's a slope in the road or there's a certain pattern in the cement or the asphalt, it really likes to go that way. So you always have to have your hands on the steering, as you always should, right? You should always have your hands on the steering, but you really have to like hold it in place if it's on a sloping surface, because the vehicle really wants to dive in that way. And maybe that this vehicle is just tuned more that way for handling and sportiness purposes, but in terms of daily driving, I don't particularly like how eager it is to turn in without the driver's intent. As I come to the stop braking here, the brakes in here feel exactly the same as they do in the Sonata, which is a good thing. Probably I'd give it a B in terms of linearity and progression of the brake pedal, and the vehicle does stop pretty well. Fuel economy, I'm getting around 30 miles per gallon, and that's mixed driving. EPA is at 31 miles per gallon, so I'm getting around there. And I've had the AC blasting this whole time, so if you live in a cooler, quiet climate, and you're not going to be cooling the car off and let it idle a little bit, you'll probably be getting better than 30 miles per gallon as long as you're not heavy on the throttle. And speaking of throttle, I think it's time to get into it. Let's flip it into sport mode. 3, 2, 1, hammer down. There was a bit of a hesitation. It actually downshifted twice with this 8-speed automatic. But the response was good. I almost feel like the response it might be a little bit better in the Sonata SEL Plus that I drove just 2 or 3 weeks ago. And this vehicle, speaking of the SEL Plus Sonata, this vehicle is priced almost identically around $32,000. And which one would I pick? Well, man, I don't think you could go wrong with either of them. The 19-inch wheels on the SEL Plus look pretty good, but it detracts from the ride quality. And if you're going for looks, in my opinion, this vehicle looks way better than the Sonata, even with the Sonata's 19-inch wheels on there. Equipment-wise, it's a little bit different. Yes, you have heated and ventilated seats in here, heated steering wheel, like you have on that SEL Plus Sonata, but like I said, you don't have the digital MID back here. But one thing this has over that SEL Plus Sonata is a power passenger seat. I couldn't believe it. That vehicle had all those features on it, but it didn't have a power passenger seat. This does here in the EX Kia K5. Now, in terms of comfort, this is just as comfortable as its brother, the Sonata. This particular model in the EX trim comes with leatherette. The placement of the shifter is great. My arm sits upon the armrest naturally, and the shifter reminds me of something you would see in an airplane with the throttle. So unfortunately, I can't push this forward for more throttle. You have to use the gas pedal. And I really find the shifter charming, and I prefer it much over Hyundai. Curb check. I prefer over Hyundai's push button drive selector. I'm just not a big fan of it. I'm getting used to it, but I would take this traditional shifter any day of the week, just rest my hand on it. It feels very natural. So this 5th generation K5/Optima, even though there's no longer an Optima name worldwide, that's what most of us know this vehicle for here in the States. But having that jump in looks and next generation feel and features, I feel like this is a good departure from the Optima name and into the K5 name. It's new for the United States, that name, and also this vehicle feels very new in terms of feel and identity. Doesn't feel like the old Optima. It definitely feels next generation, higher quality, better features, and definitely better looks. I think it looks better in some ways than the Honda Accord. I think it looks better in some ways than the Camry. And it definitely looks better than the Sonata. I can't really find anything about this K5 to majorly gripe about other than the fake exhaust and the weird rear windshield. Like everything else about the vehicle is very functional. It's also pretty high quality. Great features, heated ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, pano roof, 10-inch screen, upgraded sound system. Great safety features, great looks. This vehicle is very well equipped, very charming, and pretty sporty looking. Maybe not so much in the driving end, but it drives really well for a sedan. You could definitely live with this on a day-to-day basis and get over 30 miles per gallon on your daily commute. But guys, I'm gonna end it there. I talked a lot about the Sonata today, mainly because that's almost like a clone to this vehicle, and I've reviewed it just recently. So what would you guys pick? Would you pick the new K5 with the sportier, definitely, in my opinion, better looks, or would you pick the Sonata that has unique catfish looks, but a nicer interior overall and better features? Guys, I'll see you down below. If you enjoyed today's video, smash the like button, subscribe for more Kia reviews. Like I said, this is my first Kia review with many more to come. So definitely subscribe, stick around the channel for that. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.